Good evening and welcome to MHTV's newest sports show, Inside Chippewa Hockey. This bi-weekly feature is hosted by the Chippewa Hockey Network, and each week we'll be bringing you full coverage of ACHA hockey at CMU. Tonight we'll look at the Division III team series against Grand Valley last weekend, and we'll look ahead to their road trip to MSU and Ferris State this weekend. The Division II team is kicking off their season Friday against Lawrence Tech down in Southfield. We'll talk about how their season went last year and what to expect this weekend. I'm your host, Stephanie Hodges, and this is Inside Chippewa Hockey. Let's get to it with a 4-0 record. D3 faced Grand Valley's undefeated team last weekend. The intense series ended in a tie with CMU dominating at home on Friday and Grand Valley barely coming out on top with a 2-1 win at Allendale on Saturday. CHN's Ashley Kaplan and Sean Bednard have our highlights.
First game of the two-game weekend series against Grand Valley. Nate Allgaier receives the puck and tips into the net, scoring his second goal of the season.
Yeah, this was a big thing for the Chippewas early on in this game. Goaltender out of position, able to just tip one in the back of the net. Nate's second of the season, like you said, and that's going to happen again for Lawrence Rowe coming up.
Lawrence Rowe is past the puck while Grand Valley's goalie is distracted. He takes a wide-open short shot and scores.
Yeah, Larry's been playing really good to start off this season. Right there, the exact same style of goal as Nate Allgaier scored right before him. Chippewas take a 2-1 lead right there from a big shot right in front of the net, thanks to Lawrence.
Skating the central side of the ice, Grand Valley with the puck. Alex Lasky rams Alex Soroki.
Yeah, this is going to be something that we're going to really see redeemed after because Soroki had a huge hit thrown against him right there. Pride took a little bit of a hit as he laid one right down to Dylan Billings, obviously resulting in a 5 in a game as Dylan Billings was thankfully all right after that collision.
Philip Fazio with the puck. He waits for an opening opportunity, shows itself, he shoots, scores.
Yeah, the rookie's always getting one in these early games, and you gotta love it from Fazio.
Second game of the weekend, CMU at GV. Second period, Grand Valley players passing the puck back and forth. Number 4 shoots and scores.
Yeah, Broderick Vanderlyn was huge in this game. He got both goals for him, and upstairs was really the easy area to get against Riley Morgan this weekend for Grand Valley. That was really when they set the tone, getting that first goal in the second period.
Grand Valley players with the puck, skating towards the net. Season opening and scores the second goal of the game.
This was the nail in the coffin for the Chippewas. It was late in the game, and Grand Valley came up surging, got one through, and were able to pretty much put away the game at this point, save some power plays.
Last 10 seconds of the game, the puck is passed to Nate Allgaier. He shoots right away, earning CMU their first goal of the game.
Yeah, too little too late right there. 6.4 seconds left to go. It was a beautiful shot from Gator as he had a wide open net. Obviously, he's going to go top shedder with that one, but nothing doing as the Chippewas just ran out of time.
I am joined now at the desk with Sean Bednard, Director of Broadcasting for the Chippewa Hockey Network. Sean, the D3 team split with a tough Grand Valley team this weekend. What did you learn from their performance on Friday and Saturday?
Well, we kind of learned the same thing that we always knew. Grand Valley is a team that's very similar to the Central Michigan team, and the way that I've always described it is Grand Valley plays Central Michigan's style of hockey better. They're faster, they hit harder, and they score more goals. That was not the case on that first game. Central Michigan blew them out of the water, played exactly the performance we expected them to play based on how they've played this season so far. Saturday was more historically accurate of how we expect things to be, especially in a tough rink in Hudsonville. Grand Valley kind of took the torch back and kind of lowered Central Michigan's momentum and their confidence really going into this next weekend. I don't think this means that Central Michigan isn't the better team. I think Grand Valley was just the better team that day.
What would you say would be the biggest difference between the games on Friday and Saturday?
You know, the biggest thing is that Central Michigan played their style of hockey on Friday night. They controlled pace of play. They controlled the neutral zone and the offensive zone, and even a little bit their defensive end. I mean, shots were 57-29, if I'm not mistaken, on that Friday night game. And in Saturday's game, the team looked lackadaisical. They couldn't control the neutral zone at all. Grand Valley dominated the neutral zone, and that was a big part of their success. And especially as the game got closer to the end, we had 6-on-4 because we pulled our goalie and we had a power play going. They couldn't do anything with it until Nate Allgaier sent one home with 6.4 left to go. And Grand Valley stepping up and having a great coach like Charlie Link make those adjustments between Friday and Saturday, it doesn't come as a surprise, but it really tells the story of what happened in less than 24 hours.
There is a lot more penalties on the first game than on the second. What would you think? Why do you think that happened?
The thing that I really thought about that, because the second game was very clean. I don't think there was a single penalty taken in the second period at all of Saturday's game. With two very good head coaches. James Cadzo is a no-nonsense kind of coach. Charlie Link is very straight to the point. He's very professional. These two coaches don't want their teams to have to wait around for minutes for referees and officials to talk about penalties or see their players kicked out or their assistant coaches kicked out even. These two teams talked to their players and their coaches and said, hey, we're going to get this cleaned up for Saturday's game. We're going to have a good, clean game, and we're going to have it our style of hockey. You can't be totally surprised by that, knowing the coaches and knowing the teams that were at hand, but it was really good to see that when Friday was a very dirty mess that was handled beautifully by the officials, Saturday was much better.
A lot of good performances this weekend across the board. Who would you say would be the D3 player of the weekend against Grand Valley?
I think it has to go to Nate Allgaier. Early on last season, he was finding some struggles in not being able to find the back of the net. Early on this season, he's already proven that he knows how to get his scoring touch going. He had 3 goals this weekend to get himself up to 4 total. That's very good to see from him. Gators rolling right now.
A pair of Chippewa veterans that have stepped up this season for D3 are Jason Pischke and Cal Jesko, but their chemistry began long before they donned the Chippewa sweater. CHN reporter Lindsay Lewis has more.
The two have been inseparable on the ice since they were 8 years old, but this year it all comes to an end, right here at Ice Arena. From a very young age, Cal Jesko and Jason Pischke have been very close friends. They are both from the small town of New Boston, where they attended elementary school, middle school, and high school together. For over 14 years now, they've had a unique bond. From youth hockey to high school, junior leagues, and now to CMU, hockey has always been a part of their lives, and together for the most part. One memory that they will never forget involves this plaque from years ago.
I remember in elementary school we won a tournament and we got this big plaque, so we kind of brought it into the class.
Only for 1 year did they play for separate teams when Jesko started out his college career playing for CMU, while Pischke started his playing for Lewis University in Illinois. It was only a year before Pischke transferred to CMU. When asked if Jesko had anything to do with his decision,
it was a good 90% of my decision.
They say playing together for so long has even given them an edge on the ice.
It always seems like we always know where each other's at. I always know his voice when he yells for the puck. He always knows mine. We always just find each other.
After over a decade of playing hockey together and 2 seasons playing for the D3 hockey team, this year it will all draw to a close. There's truly only one way to describe it.
Bittersweet.
It's pretty bittersweet, to be honest with you.
They say the one thing that would make their season better is bringing back a national title.
It'd be nice just to finish on top and win the last game I ever played.
Although this chapter of their lives may be coming to an end, they aren't worried about losing the bond that they share.
Sure, once we're done here, we'll still probably play beer leagues together or adult hockey together.
Lindsay Lewis, Chippewa Hockey Network.
The D3 team plays 3 games this weekend. They are on the road Friday against Michigan State, come back Saturday to play the Spartans at home, and close out the weekend Sunday at home against the Bulldogs of Ferris State. Considering the team's performance this past weekend, how are you expecting them to fare in the 3-game test to come?
Michigan State's a very good team, and between Michigan State and Grand Valley, it's always kind of been a similar situation. Michigan State has proven all time they're a better team than the Chippewas, and they're only 2 years removed from a national championship against Florida Gulf Coast. CMU's a much better team than they've been in years past. The last time that they beat this Michigan State team was the year that they went to the Final Four of Nationals. Michigan State's always going to be good, but I think this year is going to be the most even matchup that we've seen, maybe even since that 2015-16 matchup that we saw against them.
You said that this matchup is going to be the most equal. Why do you think that?
I just think this Chippewa team has better cycles, better systems than they've had in years past. They're a fast team, and they've always been a fast team, but I think this is one of the faster teams that we have seen, and I think I really like the potential that CMU has, and I wouldn't say an upset factor because we know where CMU sits, at least right now, in MCHC play, but I'd say in a matchup like this, if CMU can come out the same way that they came out against Grand Valley on Friday night of last week, the same way that they've came against any of the D2 teams that they've played earlier on in this season, I don't think there's any reason that they shouldn't be able to take what Michigan State throws at them and overpower them.
And how would you say the matchup against Ferris State would be different this year than others?
This is kind of a newer matchup. Central Michigan has not really played Ferris State, at least in recent memory. I think they maybe had a tilt against them their first or second year as a team. Ferris State's very new, which kind of always leaves some question marks. We've seen they've been able to upset the D3 Lawrence Tech team, but I think CMU will have no problem with them.
That closes out our Division III preview. We are going to head to a break, but when we return, we will preview the Division II team as they kick off their season this weekend.
In an extraordinary place where the stars and stripes and the eagle fly.
All of us here at Central Premier like doing two things. We like to film, but mostly we like to have fun. Check us out on MHTV, Mondays.
It's harder whenever there's a bigger group. Pretty much a good day for me would be people leaving their hands off of me. I'm always called names. Everywhere that I go, there's always someone calling me names, calling me gay. I've been choked, thrown up against a wall, punched. Nobody's ever tried to help me.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Separate raw meats from other foods by using different cutting boards. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Hey. Oh, you're gonna check out Nobody Watches, MHTV's brand new show that premieres every other Monday at 7:30?
No. Nobody watches.
You're telling me you're not gonna watch a show with a new topic each week and then students right here from Central get on and tell their funny stories about the topic?
Nobody watches.
Well, if you're looking for a good time and want to have a laugh, I highly recommend MHTV's brand new show, Nobody Watches. And if you watch, maybe we'll have to change the name to Somebody Watches.
We are Central Quidditch, and you're watching MHTV.
Welcome back to Inside Chippewa Hockey. We just talked about Division III. Now let's move on to D2. Team manager Anastazia Hartman is joining me at the desk. How is the team feeling going into the season opener this weekend?
They're so excited. They've been working so hard for the past month, just practicing, getting to know everyone and how everyone plays together. So this weekend's going to be a good test for them, just a good team to start out with. So they're excited. They're really looking forward to it.
With the mix of returning players, transfer students, what do you think the dynamic between the team members is like?
I think it's really good. So this year they've got a couple transfer kids that are coming who have played for other colleges before. So that's really good that there's not a ton of rookies coming in. Then they have some new freshmen, so that's really cool. They're looking forward to the opportunity, and I think with the vets that are on the team currently, they're going to have a good time, and that they'll kind of learn quick how the league is.
So do you think it'll be a lot different from last year? You know, there were a lot of freshmen on the team last year who were looking up to those vets.
I think it'll be a little different, but I think everyone just kind of looks up to everyone now. I don't think there's one person that's singled out that they're all like, oh my gosh, this person is the person I look up to. I think everyone gets along really well, and I think they all play well together. So I don't think it'll be too much of a challenge for them.
Now, speaking of, you know, looking up to players, leadership roles, how do you think the captains this year are going to adjust? How are they going to do?
I think the captains are awesome this year. So their captain, Kyle Chapman, is amazing. He's very good, just setting an example for the boys. Like, everyone looks at him and they're like, you know what, Kyle shows up for everything. We're coming to everything. We're going to work hard. We want to work hard as Kyle because we're a team. Like, we've got to work hard together. The other two assistant captains are awesome as well. They're both very talkative and saying like, hey boys, you know what, we got to make sure we do this. We got to work hard. We got to beat these teams. And I think it's just a good group of guys.
How do you think they're going to come together, you know, with a little bit of a harder schedule compared to last year?
I think it's going to come together well. I think this weekend's going to be a good test for them. And then they start going into harder teams. In 3 weeks, they go up to Mich Tech. And Mich Tech's a great team. Like, they're going to have some fun with that, and it's going to be a good first road trip. And I think they're going to play well throughout the whole season. It's going to be a test, but I don't think that it's impossible at all.
With that road trip coming up, you know, it's what, you know, an 8-hour drive to Michigan Tech, something crazy like that. Do you think that'll help the team bond? You know, you mentioned there are a few freshmen, 3, you know, that are coming in, and they might have a harder time finding their place on the team. Do you think that has anything to do with bonding, you know, making friendships and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think the guys have already done a lot of team bonding stuff too, so I think they're already kind of finding their place, but I think this 8-hour drive is really going to just kind of solidify everything. It's going to be a hell of a trip, but it'll be worth it at the end. I think they're going to come back even stronger.
So first game this weekend, they've been practicing for like a month. So what have you been seeing at the practices?
So at practices, I've really been seeing lines come together. So there's a really good set of lines that they've got in place. Their defense is looking good. They've just all been kind of trying everything out with different power plays and penalty kills and seeing who works well together. I think it's good. It's going good. I don't see any reason why it's not going to be a competitive season.
That's good to hear. Do you think the style of play is going to be different than last year?
I think so. I think this year they've got a lot of different styles on the team, where last year lots of the players were kind of similar in how they played. But it doesn't seem to be showing any issues right now. They are looking good together. One of the lines is actually probably my favorite line to watch. They're always just coming up with new ideas on how to pass the puck and move the puck, and it looks really good, and I'm super excited for them.
So do you think these new ideas that, you know, they're showing so far in practice, do you think they'll be able to maintain those throughout the season?
I do. I think that once they get rolling after this first weekend, it's going to just keep flowing from there, and that it's just going to be only up.
What's a team that they're really looking forward to playing?
I really think that they're looking forward to playing Mich Tech, but I also think that they're looking forward to Indiana.
Okay.
I think they're looking forward to the road trips and the kind of having time to bond, and it's not always every day that you kind of get to go play other teams. Like last year, they played teams that were fairly close, and so this year they're kind of branching out and moving.
All right, thanks so much for joining me, Anastazia. Good luck with the boys this year, and good luck with the women's team, too.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to this weekend. The D2 team will play their season opener at Lawrence Tech Friday night and again at home this Sunday. The Chips finished up last season with a 9-13 record, very similar to LTU's 7 wins, 13 losses, and 2 ties. And we're back at the desk with Sean Bednard. Sean, with such a similar record, how do you think the Chips can prove themselves against Lawrence Tech?
LTU was a good matchup for them last year. LTU is probably one of the faster teams that D2 played last year, and moving up from the JV team to being the big dog in D3, Lawrence Tech's white team did, as Lawrence Tech Blue now went to NAIA. I think it's a very similar matchup. It was a sweep last year for D2 against Lawrence Tech, and with that same amount of speed that they're seeing, this is a very good early season matchup. D2 kind of got bad cards last year, having to open the season against Aquinas, but a very beatable opponent and a really good measuring stick to see how much this team has changed over the last year. If they can come out with a similar kind of win, a good series against them as they were able to have last year, I think it sets a tone for this year for D2.
So do you think they're used to that kind of fast play? playing teams with a similar play as Lawrence Tech?
You know, the way I see it, the way we always talk about it is the way that the map is split up for D2, for D3, for any of the teams that we cover. It goes north, south, east, and west in styles of play. The north style is a very fast style. It's very similar to the south, except with a little bit more grittiness. And I think that's kind of what Lawrence Tech provides, minus the grittiness. In the physicality department, D2 definitely out-hits them, but in the speed department, Lawrence Tech will skate circles around them, for the most part from what we've seen from the small sample size. I think if early on in this game and early on in this series, CMU D2 can shut down that speed, they're going to have a really good chance against they're a tough opponent, but they're definitely beatable for a good D2 team.
Looking at Lawrence Tech, who are the big players this weekend who are going to come out?
I think the big thing for Lawrence Tech is that they lose Joey Bruce this year, and he was a very good scorer for them last year, but they still have Josh Denomi. He was the #2 leading scorer on the team, and I think that provides one of the big challenges. He was somebody who had success last year playing at the D3 level as a total, but against the D2 team, he looked rather impressive. He was out there for a lot of shifts that were a lot of good shifts, a lot of offensive pressure shifts, and I think that's the main player that we should be looking out for. I think Lawrence Tech, they lost a lot of talent, especially losing their #1 scorer, but I think being able to bring back a lot of the guys that they did bring back, and especially with head coach Ken Gaffney, he's always a guy who's going to put his players out there in a position to win and always give them systems that works with what they run. I think his players are going to be out there, be ready. They already have a few games under their belt. They got a split series against Ferris State last time they were out there, and I think that was a good test to start off the season for them before they go up against a D2 team like CMU.
How do you think CMU's D2 leaders stack up against Lawrence Tech's new leaders?
I think the big thing for CMU is that they have most of their team coming back, especially in the veteran captain department. And I think in having that ability to be able to come back, it really does help, because these are players who, if nothing else, if we want to take it to the very base, they've played against this Lawrence Tech team. They've played in an unfriendly atmosphere like Southfield Civic Center proves to be. And when you look on the outside of the rink, it doesn't seem like some place that would be very intimidating, but you get in there and it's a very closed-off rink. The sound really traps onto the ice, and it makes it very intimidating. So I think having those main leaders come back, know what kind of style this D2 team plays, and know what kind of style to expect against Lawrence Tech, I think that really gives them an upper hand, especially knowing that they're a beatable team.
So starting away at Lawrence Tech's home field and Southfield, how do you think that's going to impact, their mindset?
The way that I see it, the Southfield Civic Center, like I said, it's a very tough place to play, but you kind of want that Death Valley atmosphere to start off your season. I think when you get that kind of early pressure, it wakes up the freshmen, it wakes up the rookies and says, okay, this is for real. We're playing some college hockey now. We're playing in a tough barn. And I think that's really the big thing about it. I've said it before, and I'll beat it to death if I have to. This Lawrence Tech team is a team that CMU D2 can open up their season with a sweep against if they play their kind of style of hockey and they play their game right. And I think being able to have that kind of tough road win, especially if it does prove to be a road win for them, it's going to get those guys ready to go. It's kind of a baptism by fire, if you will, but I think it's a necessity for these guys.
So what are your final thoughts going into this weekend?
I've said it before, this is a good test for CMU D2. Lawrence Tech's a very good team, very well-coached team with a lot of speed, and that's a tough challenge for any new team like CMU D2 is going to have with a lot of fresh legs out there, but I think if they play this weekend right, it's going to be a very good test to open up their season and really get them in a position to keep good going early on.
Thanks so much, Sean. We're going to take a quick break, but stay with us. When we come back, we'll have a preview of the women's hockey team.
My name is Megan Saluski, and you are watching MHTV.
That's Joe. That's Joe Palin.
Joe, really?
Come on, Water.
Come on.
Let's go.
We believe in you,
Water.
Water.
Let's go, Water.
Let's go,
Come on, Water.
let's go, let's go, let's go.
Come on.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him opening his own clothing store at the age of 18? 1 in 138,000. Excited to be a part of pop culture, he packed for the big city. The odds of finding someone to invest in his vision? 1 in 4.5 million. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference.
Hey, did you hear about Jen? No, what happened? She posted something she really shouldn't have. See?
Oh, that is so not cool.
What was she thinking?
Well, she can't take it back now.
But what if people at school find out?
Oh, she's going to be in big trouble.
Stop and think before you connect. Sharing online is serious business. Learn how you can stay safe online at dhs.gov/stopthinkconnect.
Someone had fun today. Hey, sweetheart, everything okay?
Yeah, everything's fine. How's our little guy?
Now I lay me down to sleep.
Looks like I'm stuck working late tonight. Probably won't be home until closer to 8.
Oh, that's okay. I have got a laundry list of emails to send out.
I pray the Lord my soul to keep.
Yeah, he did great. We had so much fun today.
If I die before I wake.
They cried over and
Hey guys, I'm Katie Wolski.
And I'm Adam Perry, and we are Gossip Central.
Be sure to tune in for the latest celebrity news right here on Central View.
And make sure you check out our other segments like Pizza Talk with Evan Denemy, Awesome Animations, Central Brew with Tyrus Kim,
And Do It Yourself Fashion Show in the Details. Tune in every other Monday right here on MHTV.
Welcome back to Inside Chippewa Hockey. We now look at the women's club team. The girls face Aquinas in a home-and-home series this weekend. Sean, what makes this year's team different than last year's?
It starts from the top down. Having Brittany Knopp as the head coach is a massive gain for this women's team. It's not to say that they haven't had competent leadership before, but what Brittany Knopp brings to the table is absolutely massive for this team.
What do you think Aquinas brings to the table this year?
Aquinas is in a peculiar state because they went from being a D2 women's team like CMU to jumping up to D1 is a prerogative program to be at this point. And they faced off against the defending national champions Miami last week and got smoked 109-19 in shots and got swept single-handedly pretty much. I think Aquinas is a very good team, but I think them jumping to D1 is a bit premeditative, and I think they still have a great edge over the women's team from CMU, but I think this weekend could be closer than we've seen it in years past.
How do you think the women's team how their play is looking like this year?
You know what? Again, starting from the top down, with Brittany as their head coach and being led by Anastazia like we talked about, they're a good team, and they still have a lot of quirks that they have to figure out, but I think they're going to be playing a faster style of hockey as we're used to seeing from our CMU teams. I think passing is going to be a lot better, and we should expect a higher scoring and higher winning season from them.
How do you think Anastazia is doing as a captain?
I think Anastazia is definitely leading with a good role. I mean, she's been in a leadership position like this before, being the manager of the D2 women's team. She knows what this team has to do to succeed. She knows how to get them to the next level, and she's going to do a good job.
We're looking forward to this weekend. Thanks for joining us tonight, everyone. Be sure to listen to the live broadcast of all D2 and D3 games by heading to our website, ChippewaHockeyNetwork.com, and clicking on the Listen Live tab. Stay up to date on each and every game by following us on Twitter, Instagram, and liking us on Facebook. Have a great weekend, and as always, fire up chips.
Thank you.